So for those that don't know, and that will probably be most people, the company that you're at is called Real Value Capital. Can
Correct.
you just briefly mention the purpose and mission of Real Value Capital?
Of course. Yeah, so Real Value Capital, we're based in New York. We're an international IPO advisory. Essentially, our mission is to help and to bridge the gap between small, medium-sized firms and their journey toward getting listed on NASDAQ. And so we really, noticed the gap because they're not getting a lot of help, not a lot of attention. A lot of small business owners actually don't know they can leverage the capital market as a tool to further their growth on a more wide international stage. And that's where we come in. And earlier this year, we also started a private equity focusing on pre-IPO investment as well. So we have both advisory and a private equity. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, that is, startup is a very broad term, I feel like, because you can have obviously
Mhm.
companies that might call themselves startups, but are like still might generate a lot of revenue or might have a lot of employees, right? So you mentioned that smaller businesses might not understand that they can leverage the capital markets. Could you give, like, for someone who doesn't know,
Mhm.
also doesn't know about that, could you give an example of what that could be?
Yeah, so I mean, like getting listed on NASDAQ is like is minimum requirements, right? But for most people, most say even like medium-sized mid-market firms, like the owners or the managers may think, oh, they're too small to even explore that option or even learn about it. When anyone think about like say going public, they're thinking New York Stock Exchange, you're thinking like Apple or Tesla size or Uber, something that's more fun, that's more techy, that's more like big in size, and well-known in brand. But they don't notice that if you have enough, revenue and enough cash flow, net income, they are eligible to get listed on Nasdaq as maybe start as a small cap, right? But then can further grow and then become a mainstream stock.
Cool. And what would be the main reason for a small business to consider doing that?
To be honest, I think like first they're like not educated about the opportunity that exists. And second, they are a little bit scared, like, what am I gonna do with a public company? I am not, I haven't managed that many people. I don't know what's the regulation requirements, the compliance piece of everything. There's just so many and so much that they don't know. So that's kind of like, hindering them from taking the next step.
And usually for the people that then go public, like what's the main idea? What's the win? Is it higher valuation? Is it like the stock, then you get outsiders to buy into it, or like what's the main thing?
Yeah, so I think you can definitely categorize into two different main rationales. One is to like capital raising, right? Obviously, going public, you have the access to the world's most concentrated capital pool, right? That's both institution and retail investor and high net worth. So I think that is definitely one. And then the second main reason is the exit strategy, right? For existing investors, you're providing them with a viable exit solution. And then for future investors, they also know where they can, more liquid wise, versus a private company. And there's like additional benefits that, bring on as a public company, including say the reputation. You are a NASDAQ or NYSE listed company. So, basically you are stamped, right? Like you have already gone through all the regulations. So, everything's more transparent. You have the brand reputation. It's almost like free marketing dollars, saved. You don't have to go and prove yourself to your business partners or your customers. So I think
Mm.
that is definitely one of the biggest advantages of a NASDAQ listed company or NYSE listed company. And I think like you also attract a lot of top talents, right? Say, for example, right now you want to hire a manager or a C-level that's, previously maybe Fortune 500. It's going to cost you a lot of money. Versus, a public company, you have more versatile employee incentive plans, and you can use your stocks and options, right, as well, part of the package. And everybody, is more inclined to work for a bigger name, right, or a accredited company like NASDAQ listed. Yeah.
And exactly what is it that you do at RBC?
hmm So I'm a founding partner. So we founded the business together, and previously I was a consultant for a long time, and so I definitely bring in my financial services expertise as well as my management consulting background into the business. And so what I do is I help a lot of clients with their strategies and their IPO process. Basically, we do everything.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to, I guess, as like a startup, right?
It is.
For
It's
I think this is really interesting. So I'll kind of get back to how it was founded, but I think a lot of people who think of consultants will have like a vague idea of what consultants do. They just deliver PowerPoints? Do they just use big fancy words? Like, do they really provide any value? Like, what would you say if you had to boil it down to like someone who really is not involved with consultants in any way, specifically for the things that you do? Because obviously they're different industry consultancy, right? But for the things you do, what is the main work in the day-to-day operations of a consultant?
well, I think it boils down to three pieces. It's a lot of planning and assessment. It's a lot of problem solving, and it's a lot of project management.
Mm,
Yeah. So
gotcha.
basically, we come in with problems, right? Either is preventative or is just general consulting. It's normally preventative, as in, okay, we come in and assess, okay, where is the loophole, and then we're trying to avoid that risk, right? Or if something bad has already happened or a problem has already been presented, and we come in to figure out a solution for that. And third is more like, okay, so you have a plan, you have a solution, now we want you to execute it, and that's where the project management comes in.
Got you. In terms of the preventive stuff, like what are some of the most frequent, I mean, I guess, issues that haven't happened, but risks that you assess and you're trying to help them avoid in aiming towards an IPO or being listed?
Yeah, for sure. So I think like when you think about IPO, there's a couple of different perspectives where the risk comes in, right? Accounting, right? Are the financial statements ready for auditors, right? And we need to see where is missing pieces, and we need to, get that sorted out before we actually kick off anything or even we show anything to any third party professional, you know, providers. And the legal structure, right? Is it also set up properly? Are there anything missing? And also compliance and internal control. That's very important.
Hmm. So it sounds like, I mean, obviously I can tell that it's not just a lot of PowerPoints. So I'm happy that you've been able to debunk that. But it definitely sounds very hands-on
Yes,
and like very closely working very closely aligned with each of
yes,
the clients.
of
Like
course.
these are the things you have, these are the things you're missing. Oh, maybe you should look at such and such and such. Don't do that. Maybe go this way.
Yeah. We hold hands. It's a
Yeah.
very hand-holding process, very tight, and we work very closely with our clients for the 10 to 12-month process. We become essentially part of their company, and we know every single aspects, the ins and outs. So yeah, it's a very exciting yet challenging process.
Yeah, I can imagine. Also because it's such a long process, right? Do you see with what you're doing right now, because I believe from doing a little bit of digging on your website, like I think you're a team of something like 6, 7 people. Is that correct?
Yeah, we
Um,
have a couple partners, and then we also have like analysts and project managers and business development. Yeah, so we have like close to maybe 20 people.
okay, okay, okay. So definitely more. do you see anything in the way that you're working with your clients right now that is kind of just a natural product of starting the company? You know, there are certain things that you can only do one way, or you have to start out doing it in this way because you're new, because you're small, because you have limited resources
Mm-hmm.
that you think will change in maybe 1, 2, or 3 years, like the
Yeah,
way that you work with your clients.
I think I think although we have like a lot of expertise, but we look relatively young. Versus where all clients might be, more mature and more, in their 50s or 60s. And so we come in, they're like, oh, these are a bunch of kids. Do they really know what they're doing, right? So I think that is definitely something we run into a lot. And we have to show, our cases, our expertise, our backgrounds. I think that has been something we run into a lot, but I think that will change, in a couple of years where I have more wrinkles on my face, and or our name gets more, well known in the industry.
Whichever one comes first.
Yeah, whichever one comes first.
That's, I think you bring up an excellent point. Like for any aspiring entrepreneur, no matter what industry or niche, whatever you want to say, you go into, proof and credibility is such an important factor. I made a video about this the other day, and it's like if you just had a ton of proof, but nobody knew who you were, you would still do really well. Like it's just it means so much. And so what would you say to someone who's maybe starting out from scratch or wants to start out from scratch in terms of getting proof in the beginning?
Yeah, so I think one thing that I truly believe in is age is definitely not something that it's just a number basically. Um, Being old doesn't mean you have credit, but being young doesn't mean you don't have the expertise. So I think like if someone questions or judges you based on your age or appearance, right? I think take that with a smile and just keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah. And what would you say were the, because obviously you guys had some kind of expertise going into this business. You mentioned coming from financial consultancy also before. Like, did all of the like founding partners bring different subsets of skills that then gave you kind of this foundation of proof, or how did you guys get your proof?
Yeah, for sure. So I definitely think every single partner brings in so much value to the team. I have a partner who specializes in AI and VC. So he used to like, actually code. So he knows every single, aspect about like artificial intelligence. And then he's also being like, venture capital, so he understands like the early stage of investing. And my other partner, he used to be a CFO of a public company, so he's like actually run through the whole thing, couple different times. And I bring a lot of like the credibility, like the CFA, the certifications, the FRM, the PMP, and then with my, previously Big Four consulting background. So like, we definitely bring in different perspectives to the company. And then we also have two more senior partners who really just brings in a lot of the connections, the resource and the network.
That's so great that you have all that, like different overlapping but complementing capabilities, because I think for anyone wanting to start a business with someone, as you will hear so many other accomplished and accredited people say online, if you have the same skill sets, you're gonna split the same work in half, and you're not gonna get the same great results, right? How did the initial idea for Real Value Capital arise? Like, who had the idea, and how was the team put together?
I think we really just like trying to explore something and then we just saw the gap and then was like, okay, so I think like maybe we can actually close that gap. So that's kind of like how we started.
And who was the one? Like, were you the one with the idea, and then you reached out to a couple of people, or like how was that circle brought together?
Yeah, so I think. one of our partners had the original idea, and then we're just like exploring the feasibility of it, and then we just decided to go in and do it.
And when you mention there was a clear gap, obviously that means that some people are having an issue and that they're potentially willing to pay to fix that issue, right? What were the things or the signs that made it clear to you that there was a gap? Like what made you convinced that here was something that you could solve?
Yeah, so I think like after doing more research and talking with like more business owners, right? You need to do like research first. And so like basically just like I said, right, there was the under education part. They didn't know that was a feasible solution to their growth potential. They obviously needed capital and they need fundraising, but like they couldn't really explore the public market and they were more focused on raising privately. So that was the first observation. And then second, from people who have gone through the IPO process, the cost is extremely high for them. And that's when we notice, okay, so that's where they've actually gone through a lot of the muddy waters we call. Um, they shouldn't pay that much, seriously. And it took longer for them too. So it was very complex, and they just felt like the whole journey was very, very hard, in which it shouldn't be that hard. And then that was the second observation. I think the last observation was actually chatting with like a lot of the third party professionals, to really get the truth right behind the IPOs. And that's where we decided, okay, there's a lot of information like that's not transparent. Um, and there's like a lot of discrepancies between different service providers. And we wanted to provide something that's more transparent, more cost effective. And like we want to bring service where they can actually trust us.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you on that. For when you were doing that bit of research, this is, I mean, again, the whole getting in contact with people, like even if it's just to do research, is probably new to new entrepreneurs or even aspiring entrepreneurs, right? And so even if it's just for research, like these people, were they third parties that you knew personally? Did you reach out on LinkedIn? How did you get in touch with them?
Everything. Yeah. Personal connections, friends of friends, LinkedIn, or even just YouTube or ChatGPT. Like just a lot of things you can Google, a lot of things you can ChatGPT. And then you just verify and bring your questions to the actual professional. I don't want to go up to them and say like, okay, so tell me what you do, right? You can Google that. You can find out online what, each service provider does. But essentially come with concrete problems and that they can actually answer, and really be respectful of their time.
Mm, yeah, that's a great point. And so from doing your research, how did that turn into you landing your first couple of clients? Like what was the step in between that?
Yeah, you really need to know what the pain points are for these clients. Um, and first, you need to know whether they want to actually explore the option of going public or not. If they just want to stay private with like a cash cow business, I don't think anybody wants to, waste their time and energy, right, trying to pitch them. Like it's said and done, right? So first, you need to make sure that the clients are also aligned with your vision, like they want to continue to grow, on the public market. And then second is really understand what their concerns are, what their pain points are, and bring
Got you.
solutions. Yeah.
And did you leverage to the same way that you did your research? Did you leverage your network as well to get those first customers, or was that a more targeted approach using other methods?
Honestly, I think this has to be a more like personal connection level. They need to know you, they need to trust you. Like there are deals that come through, just from say our targeted marketing or my social media. But those are very few leads. I think a lot of the actual first couple clients definitely come through like friends of friends, word of mouth. Um that they know you're actually a person, not AI, right? That's the first. And then second, they need to know like they can trust you, and that's through like friends for referral, or they already tell them what I've done. So the connection is brings like much closer.
Yeah. And what would you say? Because I totally agree with you. I think referrals is one of the most important things. How would you say you can put yourself in a position to get more referrals, or talk with people and make it known that you can take referrals?
Yeah, I think first you let people know that you're actually doing this. Like people actually need to know, oh, you're not doing consulting anymore, you're into the IPO space. And if they're interested, they'll reach out, right? And we can start talking. And that's one way. That's more passive. And second is, for example, whoever's in a certain field, right? For example, maybe they're in biotech space, right? We'll just say catch up for like 15 minutes, tell him or her what I'm doing right now, and say like, hey, if any company that you know of in the same industry are looking to, get listed, or thinking about that as a potential path, definitely put me through, right? Happy to set up like an intro call, and just consult for free for a little, and then see where that takes us.
That makes all the sense. And I think because the way that you describe it, obviously it sounds very human. Like it sounds very just person to person, very sociable. But I think it might seem a very intimidating to people who are maybe going into this firstly. So do you have a few words of not necessarily encouragement, but just ways to approach it for someone who might be a bit intimidated by something like that?
You can't. Um, and honestly, at the end of the day, if you're an entrepreneur, I mean, there might be ways where you can hide behind a screen and then, make a lot of money. I mean, I'm not saying that's not possible, but at the end of the day, right, you are a sales. You are selling yourself, you're selling your service, you're selling your background, you're selling your credible. Like everything is about selling, right? And honestly, like you can sell that through like a screen and distribute it like massive distribution like social media. That's okay. But still you can't be like hiding, right? You need to put your face, you need to film that video. Um and how is that not intimidating, right? So it's just a different type of selling. And for us, IPO is a big, big matter, right? Like it's a big decision. So we need to like constantly chat with the owners, chat with their like investors, and make sure we get through all their concerns. And that's done, either face to face or a lot of Zoom meetings. So like you cannot be intimidated by that. That would kill your business. At least mine, right?
I'm so happy you say that. And I say that because you're absolutely right. And my hope is by doing more and more and more of these interviews and people hearing the same message over and over, they're going
Yeah.
to start to catch on to,
Yeah.
yes, it's hard. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it's intimidating. Still doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. You just have to get over it if you want it enough. And if also at the same time, if you want it enough, you will get over it. So I think, that's a nice litmus test.
Hmm.
Um, but maybe to put it a little more into a realistic perspective, from the time that you've done your research, you started reaching out to people, putting words out there. How long did it take before you got your first like real lead and then prospective client?
I think a couple months. I don't remember the exact, but I think like from the preparation to actually secure our first deal, maybe somewhere between like 5 months or so.
Yeah. And I mean, considering how long a process for something like what you do can be, doesn't seem like necessarily that long. But also, I think for someone who's like first learning about business and entrepreneurship now, like from day zero to maybe 5 months in, not seeing anything in that time span might seem kind of insane. But that's still a short period of time. A short period
I
of
know,
time.
I know.
Um,
How do I put it? like first of all, we didn't go from 0 to 1 per se, right? Because we know what we are doing. We are professionals. We have been, in the industry. So we know that it take time to first register the company, right? Get our decks ready, find our pitches, and then start doing the outreach. And then, like the actual client, securing the client takes like at least a month of negotiation, right? It's not like we go in and say, hey, you want an IPO? And then they're like, yeah, sure, we want an IPO. And then we'll just sign the deal, right? There's a lot of back and forth, and there's a like Q&A, and there's like the lawyers have to, refine the term sheet, and that's like at least 2 weeks. So it's long, but it's a big matter, and we don't charge for like $10, right? So so it's okay. Like the time and energy is needed. It's really needed.
Did you guys change anything in terms of how you are compensated, or did you just make it more result based, or like because you said muddy waters before, right?
So the way we do it is, okay, we give you like a range, right? That's we know is the most effective, where we find you like say the third parties that are more trustworthy, they're transparent. It's an all inclusive price instead of like billed by the hour or the month, right? So we try to eliminate a lot of the muddy orders that can the clients might have to waddle through if they were on their own. So that's why we come in and why we do the hand holding process. So yeah, we definitely put a lot of transparency up forward. Yeah, like even in our proposal we list out exactly which party you need to involve in, and how much of a range it normally costs.
And for someone who's like, I know, there are so many different kinds of the same business out there. I know you can go into a saturated market and still do well. But like, what does it mean to differentiate yourself? Like you say transparency, but I might be sitting here thinking, what could I do? Like if someone is like, how could I go into an industry that already exists and do something differently or
Yeah,
new or better? What
sure.
would be the things to think about?
Okay, this might come off as like, oh yeah, this is like on the more personal side. I think being humble and responsible is one of, I think, the key differentiators, right? So many service provider would come in and say like, oh, we're transparent, we're responsible, yada yada. But the thing is like, it's a matter of what you say and what you do. Do they match each other, right? um I can say, oh yeah, I offer the most transparent pricing, but on your proposal, there's not, it's very vague of like how much the whole service charges, or who and how would you bring in the third party providers, right? So I think it's a matter of what you say versus what you do. And I mean, clients, business owners, they've been in business for like, hey, at least for our clients, right? In business for like at least 2, 3, 4 decades. They can define and they can tell who is the more real and who is the more like, non-transparent ones.
Yeah. So for you, like you're saying authenticity, being responsible, putting your actions before your words is what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah,
I
I think that makes
still go
sense.
by that day by day.
Yeah. I think it's hard to go wrong with an approach like that. So obviously I know you've been in finance for a long time and you're obviously heavily invested in finance now. What got you into finance originally?
I mean, during my undergrad studies, I think like business school, finance, accounting are probably the top selected choices for business students. And obviously back then I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was just like, okay, let's just go for the best solution. And that's finance. So yeah, I got myself into like the finance major. And now of course you follow the herd. Everybody's talking about Wall Street, New York. And I'm like, okay, so let's give that a try. But I did 2 masters at Duke. During my first masters, um obviously I still had the Wall Street dream. I wanted to be in finance. Like I want to be an investment banker. I want to be like, the Wolf of Wall Street. That's the kind of the inception we grew up with, right? All the TV shows, all the movies. Um, so I went into Duke wanted to be a like investment banker, but I ended up getting a consulting offer in the financial services industry. So not too far away from it, but definitely in from a different perspective. So from that consulting job, I definitely was able to capture a lot of the behind the scenes, different financial institutions, and that really widened my eyes of like, okay, there's definitely a lot than just bankers and traders of Wall Street. So I think that really gave me a solid background and foundation for what I do today.
And what were the things you saw that you both liked and disliked?
I think like, oh wow, Wolf of Wall Street is actually true. Oh, it's actually not that true.
In what ways was that like most clear? Like, and just like real life examples, what would be?
I mean, you work in cool buildings, you get to walk in glamorous suits, on Wall Street, on the Fifth Avenue, right? That is definitely true. The wild lifestyle is also and can be true. But what's so not true is that the TV shows doesn't tell you like, oh, like the work you do may not be as exciting. It can be very boring. It can be very repetitive. It can be very mundane. And nobody really tells you, yeah, sure, you look great in a suit at the airport, with your suitcase and all that. But nobody tells you have to wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. to get ready for that. And yeah, sure, the glamorous, travel life is amazing, right? You get to visit different cities, visit different clients, but at the end of the day, it's also very exhausting. You get up at 4, get ready, be at the airport, flight at 6 a.m. You get off the flight at 8 and be at the client's office at 9. And meetings start right away at 9:30.
And were you often like during your consultancy days, did you visit clients very frequently?
Yeah, for sure. We are pretty much just based in the client's office until
Sure.
COVID hit.
Yeah, yeah, okay, okay. And so what made you then be convinced that like you clearly saw something in finance? I'm guessing you both saw like financial upside, but you also realized, okay, there's more to be done than just investment banking. Like what then convinced you to go get another degree?
I think, I was in consulting for 7 years, and to be honest, I have a lot of certifications, like, through those years. So technically, I didn't really have to go back to get another degree, but I wanted time, for myself and to just take maybe 10 months, recharge. And it's been a while since I've been back, at school. So I wanted to kind of like refresh on my knowledge database as well, and get to meet more people like you yourself, right? So it's just change of environment, change of perspectives, and that's something I wanted and I needed.
That's really, really interesting to me because I think and not that's not negative in any way, but I think like a lot of people use it as like a gateway to go into a different industry and also earn more money. I guess that's at least kind of the big picture I got from a lot of people while I
Hmm.
was there. But it's kind of cool that you already knew where you wanted to go, and then you just was like, I kind of want to break. And
Yeah.
also like you still want to like learn more, but like now I feel like I've learned a lot in this area. Want to try and go this way and see what this can bring me. That's cool, I think. Did you were you a co-founder before you went to Fuqua?
Yeah. So I
Got
think
you.
what's different for me is that a lot of people use as MBA to do a career switch, right? For example, they might be in consulting, um, and they might want to go into banking, right? So um, that was one way for a lot of the students, and then the second is like they need the degree to get a salary bump or like advance in their career ladder, right? They might be coming in as a senior consultant and they want to get a degree to become a manager, and further grow in the company itself. But for me, like I just wanted to come back and then like more taking courses that are more targeted toward my field, right? Like for example, I have learned accounting for like so many times, but during my 7 years of work, like I didn't really need to use accounting at all, right? So I wanted to come in and just do like a quick refresher, and say maybe I wanted to learn more about crypto, or I wanted to learn more about, say, more targeted field of finance, right? So I knew exactly what courses I wanted to take, and I want to use this time to kind of like just recharge.
That's really cool. So one of the things that I'm then interested in, because of the background that you have, you get a very unique perspective. I think there's so much talk about, is a degree worth it? Like obviously now you have then multiple degrees, right? But is a degree worth it? Should I start a business? Should I just go and get a job? What's the right path for me? Because depending on where in the world you find yourself, it can be expensive to get a degree, right? Doesn't mean that there's no risk in starting a business, but it's two very different sides of the coin. But as someone who's now gone one way, realized she wanted to be a co-founder and is helping start a business, what would you say about that, like if someone is standing in front of the decision to maybe go into college or something like an MBA or considering starting a business? What are the main pros and cons?
Well, I think first of all, I always say that financial stableness is the foundation for anything you want to do, right? Um, so definitely you can't really balance it, but you need to prioritize it. And second, I think a lot of people go into a degree or like getting more school because they just want to get a degree, but not knowing what they want to get out of it. So I think for anyone who's considering like a master's or like a secondary studies, I think you really need to know what you're missing because a lot of the stuff you can actually learn online these days, right? Do you really need it? Do you need a degree or do you need the name associated with that degree, right? What exactly are you getting out of this? And what exactly do you need? Really need to know that because otherwise it's just really throwing a lot of money into nothing. So I think that's really important. And I think your third question, the answer to that is really, I don't think it conflicts each other, right? Starting a business, and taking school, is a lot of time management, wise time management. But if I can do it, I'm human. I'm not like a robot, right? So if I can do it, I'm pretty sure a lot of people can actually do it. It's just a matter of time management and using your resource and energy efficiently. I don't think that's a problem. And there's definitely risks associated with starting a business. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just a matter of what you want.
What was it? I think it's someone like the old sales guy, Zig Ziglar, or something, who said, life is risky no matter what you do. The one thing that is certain is you're not going to come out of it alive, right? You're
Yeah,
not going to make it out
sure.
alive. You're going to have risk getting a degree. Are you going to get a job? Are you going to get the right job, the right pay, the right circumstances? Starting a business? Are you going into service where you maybe don't have capital costs, or are you like buying stuff up front and now you have all this inventory risk? Like there's risk everywhere. For someone who's like giving excuses and objections to, no, you can't be studying and starting a business at the same time. Like if you were to give a realistic insight to what an everyday time management situation would look like for you when you were both studying and working, what would that look like?
Well, luckily I had the flexibility of managing my meetings, according to my time. So I didn't have like, I have to be there for like 9 to 5. So it's really like getting up early, right? Get yourself prepared for a lot of the classes. Since I've been in, the program, the school for a long time, I know exactly how the courses run, exactly when the assignments are due, right? So it's a lot of like pre-planning, to make sure my day to day are not chaotic, right? So I think. that is one. And I think like second, use time wisely. If I have 5 minutes, I would like check my emails. I would like quickly just respond to clients, and setting up for the later meetings. And then after school is really just meeting time. So yeah, there's definitely less personal time and less time for social, like with my friends and like maybe going out for dinner or getting a drink. So I definitely did sacrifice that part.
Yeah. And I mean, you just have to. Or at least if you try not to, you gotta be prepared for also a lack of results, right?
Lack of
You
sleep.
don't. Well, that, definitely that as well. Well, what would you say from your perspective, both from the finance side, but also as an entrepreneur yourself?
Mhm.
What's your view on the most common mistakes entrepreneurs make?
Thinking too much. If I know 70 or 80% of what I want to do, I'll do it. I wouldn't wait until like I have like 100% security. I will sometimes just do it when I have 50%. I'll figure it out on the way. Because as an entrepreneur, time is not your friend. Time is actually your enemy. You are running against like competitors. You're running against, a lot of different factors. And if you wait and you wait and you wait, the opportunity isn't always just gonna sit there pretty and waiting for you. You need to actually grab it.
I'm really happy you say that because I agree. But I also think you use a really interesting analogy. So what would you say could be an example of a situation where you feel like you have 50% of the information and you still choose to go ahead? Like what could that be?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm not an expert in biotech. You know, I hated biology, in high school. But, when there are great leads in biotech, I would just like study, right? Study in that particular field for like maybe 2 consecutive nights, like hardcore study. At least understand what the client does, right? What problem are they solving? Um, and then we would just start doing the intro call. Like they would not wait for you to, for 2 months to become a semi-expert in that field, right? You learn on the way and you ask questions if you don't understand. And that's okay. Like they know you are not in their field. Like I'm not a PhD in a certain field, right? They know that. They know that I'm a business person. But if you show enough grunt, like you show enough effort, right? You come up, you show up, and it's okay. That's okay. Like they are not finding you to solve their biotech problems. They are here. They're asking you for their like my expertise in IPO. Right? I think that's really important. But say if I actually waited, so oh yeah, like I'm not expert in this field. Let me just study up and then at least know what I'm saying. No, they're probably gonna find another advisor. Right? The timing doesn't work.
That's such great advice, I think. And also you mentioned the effort, the showing up, being willing to look stupid, ask questions. Do you think that goes back to the humility that you mentioned
Yeah,
earlier?
for sure. Like 100%. Like just think how funny I would look sitting in a room full of PhDs and pretending that I know everything about like cancer cells or how everything works. I mean, like, come on, just how ridiculous would I look? I would rather go and say like, okay, look, I have no idea, a lot of the terms that you use. So I'm probably gonna ask a lot of dumb questions today. But please bear with me, right? Um, that's okay. They'll appreciate it.
Yeah, no, no, they will for sure. And so for the people who maybe have struggled with something like um, putting up a facade or maintaining a certain image, like what would you say to them? Like if you want to be an entrepreneur, this mindset about how you are perceived, like is that not going to be a hindrance?
I think it's good and bad. The gist that I take from those is you need to be confident, but not looking like an asshole, basically. Right. You need to be confident but humble at the same time. Uh, and you don't need to show up like, oh, I know everything. That's fine. Like you show up and show that you know your stuff, and that's good enough. Don't try to be someone you're not because it's gonna take you to the wrong route for sure. And people can see right through you. And that doesn't look good.
No. Yeah, you have one reputation, right? I mean, especially in an industry like yours, where even though there are many players, it's they're quite big players, a lot of them, right? So if you screw up, people will know.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you're definitely right. I'm curious about this. What's been your take on people's ethics and morals in the finance industry?
It's a wide spectrum, right? But you need to know where you want to be on that spectrum. You can't really judge others or, you know, critique of what others' stance is on that spectrum. Just know where you're gonna be and where you want to be, and that's good enough.
Have you had to decline any clients because you didn't want to work with them based off of something like values?
Yeah, for sure. It's a two-way street. I take my clients very selectively. I don't want to put my name where I know in the future is probably gonna end up somewhere bad.
No, yeah, I mean, I agree. So I get that. What are the long-term goals? What are you hoping to be able to do with RBC?
Yeah, so I think like we have a long way to go. There are so many clients, so many different industries that we still want to explore, and continue helping others, like other business owners, entrepreneurs, to realize their dream, to take on that next step, and to further their growth and hopefully exponential growth post IPO. So that's where, really our mission is.
For you, where does that drive as an entrepreneur to create something, to build something, to make the world a better place, to help those other entrepreneurs? Where does that come from?
I think to really help valuable business to create more value for the society as a whole.
And is that because to you that translates into the actual people that you feel like you're helping? Does it make you feel better being part of that change? Or like for you, where does the actual internal drive?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's the opportunity that I'm so blessed with. I get to meet successful entrepreneurs like every single day. I get the chance to work with them and actually learn from them, right? They've been in their industry for like 20, 30 years, and I'm learning from the best of the best, pretty much, right? If their business can sustain for like, say, 3 decades, there has to be something that they are doing right, and I want to learn, right? So I think that still drives me every single day, and I am so humbled that I have the opportunity to do so.
No, that's great. Yeah, it's funny because I feel like humility is and morals, like and ethics for that matter. It's kind of one of those things where the more you talk about it, almost the less perceived value you are associated with that moral
Mhm.
or that ethic. Like it's more of like a do the walking and then whatever talk you say doesn't matter. But like if you have morals, you have morals, right?
Yeah, you can't
And
quantify this. Is
no,
something that you know uh, it guides your work. It guides your words. So I think is something that I mean is gonna show up in its value sometime in the future.
for sure. You're entirely right. For the aspiring entrepreneurs who are watching or thinking, this sounds all handy dandy. And yeah, it must be nice for you. Like you sound so confident. It must have been so easy for you. Like what's the main convincing point for someone just to give it a shot?
Try it. Otherwise, how would you know you can't do it? Why are you declining yourself the opportunity to do so?
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, look at Mr. Beast. He started as a teenager in his room with a camera, probably on his laptop, right? And look where he is today, right? So you never know.
Do you think people place unrealistic expectations on themselves for how quickly they should succeed?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Is that something that you've struggled with?
I think when I was younger, yes, I wanted to be somewhere like higher, bigger, supposed to achieve some certain sort of, you know, uh, status, by my maybe early 20s. Um, but the more you learn, the more you stay on the ground, you know, you're not there yet. There's a lot of knowledge that you need to learn, and there's a lot of the way how business works you need to familiarize with. Negotiation tactics, communication skills, all that. It doesn't take just 2 years to get through everything, right? It takes time. It does take time, and it's okay.
Yeah. And I think the and it's okay part is like the go sign, right? It's the green flag. It's the yes, you'll have to try and try hard and do it over and over again and not see results for a long time. But again, that's still okay. Like if you succeed in 5 years and 10 years, does that mean it's worth less? Like why does it have to be right now? And so yeah, I'm quite happy you say that. Where can people learn more about you and RBC, Winnie?
LinkedIn maybe.
Yeah, and I mean for anyone who's watching who is running a business that would want to consider the option of IPO, reach out. I'm sure that RBC can help you out.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Michael.